Bingo is one of the most iconic and simple board games. You fill out 5 squares in a row, and you win. Now I'm sure you guys have seen those videos where people go around and catch a variety of Pokemon to fill their bingo board. But what if I played a game of bingo throughout an entire playthrough of Pokemon Emerald? Not only that, but what if it was a randomized Nuzlocke? Well, today I'll be finding out how that would go, as I have created a Pokemon bingo board with objectives like find a Master Ball and defeat the Pokemon League. So, without further ado, it's time to find out if I can not only beat this randomized Nuzlocke, but also get 5 squares in a row on my bingo board. My starter choices were nothing too special, as it was between a Wooper, Nidoran male, and Muck. Ultimately, I decided to go with the only fully evolved Mon, who I named Gooey. Now right off the bat, I knew I wanted to get 2 objectives done. First was to lose before receiving Pokeballs, so I let a Wild Ammonite knock me out, and remember, because I don't have Pokeballs yet, this doesn't count as losing the lock. Secondly, I needed to have 0 Pokédollars remaining, which was pretty easy, as all I had to do was purchase 5 potions. After defeating May's wimpy Wooper, I attempted to add some Pokemon to my team, but I only managed to catch this Ammonite on Route 101, as this Squirtle on Route 103, Skarmory on Route 102, and Apom on Route 104 all refused to stay in the stupid Pokeball. Finally, in the Petalburg Woods, I did haul in an Eevee, but it's safe to say that my team isn't looking too great right now. However, on Route 116, I ran into a Celebi as my encounter, who also had the ability Truant. This is good and bad, because while it does make Celebi suck in this playthrough, if I could catch this thing, then I could cross off 2 squares on my bingo board. But there's no way I would catch this mythical Pokemon with only a few Pokeball. Oh, well, that's nice. My good luck continued against Roxanne, as her Seal, Squirtle, and Hariyama didn't pose to be a threat. I also decided to make this gym the one where I play on set mode, so that's another objective completed. With 1 gym badge in hand, I caught a Corsola in the Rusturf Tunnel, who will probably just be a backup Mon. I then saved the one and only main man on the block, Pico. And yes, I did make this a square on my bingo board. Just think of it as a free space. Anyways, I took on the optional May battle while heading out of Rustboro, and I decided to make this rival battle the one where I only use a single Pokemon. This challenge was pretty easy to complete, considering that I didn't take any damage from Elekid or Wooper. On Route 107, I caught a Growlithe, who filled the 6th slot for my team, meaning I can cross off another square. I then failed my Doofertown encounter before catching a Vaporeon on Route 106. After some much needed training, it was time for Brawly. My goal was to make this the gym battle where I don't use any healing items, and it got off to a good start with Gooey taking care of Zubat. Bubbles then one-shot Camerupt, but Tauros was actually a challenge. I whittled him down with Vaporeon, but Brawly used a Super Potion, and Hornatak was doing a lot of damage to me. It was then Ammonite's turn to get some hits off, but due to a critical Hornatak, we lost to Squidward. So Muck had to come in to get revenge. While on the beach by Salateport City, I caught a Loudred, and just past there on Route 110, I found a Hoppip who has the ability Flash Fire, which is pretty sick. Anyways, May's team isn't getting much better, so I had no issues defeating her for a 3rd time. I then caught an Elekid on Route 117, who is considered a baby Pokemon, meaning I can cross off another box on my board. After crushing Wally's dreams and sending him back home to Verdanturf Town, it was time for Watson. He had a crazy strong team, beginning with an Umbreon, who I had to take out with Gooey. Next up was a Metagross, who took Growlithe's embers pretty well before poisoning Celebi with his poison point ability. Eventually, I just stalled him out with the Leech Seed and Recover. The fun didn't end there though, as I had to deal with a Slacking as well, who nearly knocked out Muck before dying to a couple of sludges. However, Donphan was a nice and easy way to end off this brutal fight. After skipping over some worthless encounters like Cleffa and Surskit, I took on Maxie, who just ended up being a sweep with Vaporeon. Also, the square on the bingo board that says Defeat Archie and Maxie means that I have to complete the whole Team Magma and Aqua storyline, so this fight doesn't really count. What does count towards the bingo board though is getting our 4th badge from Flannery. Her Nidoqueen gave us a bit of trouble with Body Slam, but other than that, I took her team down pretty easily. And just when I thought things couldn't get any better, I found the TM for Skull Bash, which has 100 base power, in the desert section of Route 111, meaning I already got bingo. I wasn't really expecting to get it this early, but now I just have to focus on completing the Nuzlocke. However, I'll still cross off objectives along the way, like reviving a fossil on the trip back to Petalburg City. Beating the Nuzlocke is going to be pretty difficult though, if I keep on struggling with the gym leaders like Norman. First, he had a Mew that transformed into Vaporeon, so I had to hang on and whittle him down with Quick Attack. Rhyhorn and Scyther went down without any issues, but Exploud was a real problem. Muck was doing fine, until he crit us with a Stomp, taking out my starter Pokemon. We were nearly at full health too. That's crazy. Anyways, because he set up with Howl, my team was taking a lot of damage. Eventually, I was forced to stall him out with the Leech Seed and Super Potions just to win the battle. May was trying to taunt me with a Muck of her own in the next rival battle, but Loudred wasn't having any of it. I then didn't have any issues knocking out her Dustox and Quagsire. Winona was a nice break from the challenging gym battles, as she had a bunch of babies, like Tailo, Ammonite, and Zigzagoon. She did have a Machamp, but it stood no chance against Celebi. By the way, if you're wondering why I've been skipping over a bunch of encounters recently, it's because I have a pretty solid team of 6 right now, so unless I run into something that's on my bingo board, then I don't really need to catch anything new. May and Maxie were the next 2 major battles, but neither of them caused any trouble. As a matter of fact, Maxie's team got 10 times worse from the match on Mount Chimney. After taking down the Team Aqua base, it was time for Tate and Liza. This double battle got off to a shaky start, as Octillery caused some problems. Bubbles knocked out Mr. Mime, thanks to a lucky crit, but I ended up having to switch out Vaporeon and Espeon just because of the damage that Octillery was doing to us. Eventually, Big Mouth got the job done, before also dealing with the Torchic. This only left Venusaur on the field, who got taken out by a confusion from Celebi. The double battle with Steven and Maxie in the Space Center was actually a little difficult. Arcanine nearly went down thanks to being poisoned, and Maxie's last Pokemon was a Wobbuffet, who completely owned Steven's Metang. So I had to whittle him down with Rock Smash and help from Skarmory. It was then time for the one and only showdown with Archie, but his team was nothing too crazy, so I can now cross off the Defeat Maxie and Archie box on my bingo board. Only one more gym until the Elite Four, and Juan couldn't have made it any scarier. He immediately sent out a Kyogre, who started to use Calm Mind. Thunder Punch wasn't doing as much damage as I hoped, so I was forced to switch into some other team members. I eventually got off a Screech with Exploud, which really helped, but I had to use a bunch of healing items. Finally, 2 strengths were enough to finish him off, and I have no idea how I didn't lose a Mon against that thing. Anyways, the rest of his team was a joke, so it's on to Victory Road. Wally came back for revenge, but he didn't really pose to be a challenge. His Raichu was kind of annoying thanks to its Poison Point ability, but other than that, we had no issues getting by him. So after totally training up my team and not using rare candies, I got everyone up to level 53 before heading into the Elite Four. A couple of my mons also have some new moves that could help out, but I'm not sure how I feel about this squad. They're not the worst, but they're also not the best. I guess there's only one way to find out if they're capable of beating the Elite Four though. First was Sydney, who got taken care of single-handedly by Arcanine. Well, that Elite Four objective was easy to complete. Next was Phoebe, and she did have a Latias, but a couple of Aurora Beams from Vaporeon did the trick. I then nearly choked against her Meowth, as I only lived with 20 HP due to a critical slash. Member number 3 was Glacia, who started with a Milotic, but she just wasted her time by going for Rain Dance and Safeguard. Other than that, the rest of Glacia's team was a piece of cake. So it was on to the final member, Drake. And he didn't even have a single fully evolved Pokemon. Okay, maybe I should not use any healing items in the champion battle, and see if that makes it any more difficult. Alright, time for Wallace. I had a perfect counters for his first 3 Pokemon, so we were already halfway through the battle without taking a scratch. However, Kingdra made things a bit difficult. I got off a Leech Seed with Celebi before sending out Electabuzz. His Hydro Pump did more damage than I expected it to, so unfortunately, I lost Electabuzz in the final battle. I then switched into Exploud, who was only able to go for a Screech. So it was back into Celebi, who just had to whittle Kingdra down to knock him out. Wallace's 5th Mon was a Banette, who didn't stand a chance, and his final team member was a Nidorino, who got KO'd by Espeon. Well, I got great randomizer luck in the Elite Four, so that ending was a little anticlimactic. However, I was still able to get Bingo and beat this randomized Nuzlocke, so this was a success. As I said before, I wasn't expecting to cross off 5 squares in a row as early as I did, so I was able to just focus on the Nuzlocke for most of the second half of the game. Anyways, I had a ton of fun making this video, as it was really cool to combine Bingo and Pokemon into one big playthrough. For now though, I hope you guys enjoyed, have a great rest of your day, and until next time, deuces!